Welcome and thank you for joining us for online academic orientation. This session is intended for students entering the humanities field. My name's Natalie. I am a fourth-year student studying human geography and environmental studies. So I take a mix of humanities and social science courses. And today I am joined with Professor Gildea, who I will let further introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Professor Gildea, Iris Gildea, and I teach in the Book and Media Studies program at St. Michael's College. I'm an associate professor in the teaching stream, and I have been here 9 years, I guess now, and I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
And do you want to share any first year courses that you may teach or any interesting courses that you want to let people know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't teach any first year courses right now. Though that said, for 5 years, I did teach our older version of the ONE program. So I'm quite familiar with first year education and what all of you are going through in your first year here. But that said, I also do teach in the Book and Media Studies program. We have kind of one of our introductory courses is a 200 level course, which some first year students will take if they know they want to do book and media studies right away. And that's readers and readerships. And other interesting courses I teach, fourth year course, which first year students can look forward to.
A little in a distance, yeah.
But I teach a course that's all about media and art and justice, and it's a very fun, embodied, art-based pedagogy course, which will be interesting this year, given it will be taught remotely.
It'll be very interesting. Yeah, I took part in the Me Too in the Media course this past semester. So I think those one-time offering courses are very special. I know there is a Trump in the Media one coming up this semester, I believe, which I would encourage people to take. And I think first years could handle it. I know there was first years in the Me Too in the Media course as well. So those are always interesting ones to look out for.
Yes, we have some we have such exciting courses in the Book and Media Studies because they're so timely and part of what's going on, like the Trump course, right? And the Me Too course. So absolutely, I also recommend taking those if they can.
And definitely they're available for students in all programs, that you don't need to be in Book and Media Studies to do it. You can be from the sciences or something as well.
Yep. Yes, and I encourage students from other disciplines to take Book and Media Studies courses. Usually they're just interesting. Students are interested in them. They live in these issues, and then they bring their own perspective, which adds to the class. So absolutely, you don't have to be a Book and Media Studies to take them. Nope.
For sure, yeah. And do you have any general advice right off the bat to share with incoming students for the humanities program or the book and media program? This could be about studying, scheduling for classes, or anything general.
Yeah, sorry, I'm seeing cats.
That's
dance.
okay.
This is part of this new world we live in.
Exactly.
Yes, so humanities-based advice. Yes, I have lots. So I think one of the most important things is most humanities programs no longer offer kind of a course that's just about essay writing or just about research. So this is difficult because sometimes there's an expectation that students already know how to write an essay. Ideally, first year courses will structure teaching you how to do this, but a lot of them don't, like our 200 level courses don't. So students can sometimes fall through the cracks because they're not being taught in class how to write an essay. And an academic university essay is different than a high school essay. They're not the same thing. So I really recommend that students, there are so many resources at U of T and at the colleges to help you learn this in a very supported way. All of the libraries have research librarians that will help you one-on-one work. Take advantage of writing centers. I also have directed a writing center. I'm such an advocate of students going to them. And I think the biggest piece of advice is you're supposed to have to learn how to do this. You're not supposed to just come in knowing how to write these essays and do research for a 20-page essay. You have to learn it and you have to get help. And there is nothing wrong with going to the writing center for help. If anything, it's the other way around, right? So please just do that. Other advice, talk to your professors, make use of office hours. I cannot say how many times I ask students to come to office hours, and I get that it's intimidating to go see your professors, or now it might even be virtual office hours like this, which maybe will take some of that intimidation down, I hope. But first of all, you're paying to go to university and get an education, and part of that education, you can tell I'm very passionate about office hours,
Yes.
because I go on about this, but it's just that I don't think we talk enough about the fact that so much learning happens through conversation. So much learning happens through talking through ideas, stumbling a bit, and it's just not going to happen on your own or studying. And yes, talking to your peers and other students is very important, but talking about these ideas with someone that's dedicated their life to learning and researching and writing, there's nothing like it. So a lot of professors really want their students to come to office hours. They maybe just don't do the best job at inviting.
I know that it can be intimidating, like you said, because professors spend so much of their lives studying these subjects and the material, and then it might be scary, and you might think that your question is silly or something to someone who's spent so much time. But professors are there to help you and just want people to come to office hours. That's what you just hear all the time. And coming from a student's perspective, it may seem a little intimidating, but just going once and getting over that first hurdle makes it so much easier. And I think, you know, going there, talking to them, it helps you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. I so highly recommend it.
Definitely. Yeah. So we touched on a little bit of advice, but is there anything you think students should remember coming into their first year of university?
Yes.
The transition between high school and university can be quite difficult for some people. So what's one thing you would say to remember to make it a little smoother?
Yeah, I mean, time management is always a very big thing for incoming students, just because, you know, in high school, depending upon what high school you went to, but you have a course and you have a system, and there's a little more support from your teachers in terms of getting you through the day and through your assignments. That is gone. It's really gone in university. You have to be very self-motivated. One piece of this is reading through your syllabus front to back, day one, and then writing down when all of your assignments are due so that you know. And then really, and this is for the first year, I mean, it is a learning process. So part of the advice is just remembering that you're learning, because second year is so much easier than first year when it comes to knowing what time management even is. So I think knowing that you're going to have to do a lot of self-motivation around scheduling and getting assignments ready, and also knowing that it's going to be challenging, and it is supposed to be a bit challenging, but that's part of the learning. And like year 3, you'll be fine.
It definitely gets easier the higher you get up in your undergrad. First year is such a learning curve, not just academically, but also personally. But time management can give you that comfort of scheduling your assignments and then also making time for yourself, which I think is so important in first year. Yeah, and definitely on that, looking at your syllabus on day one, that note, I always recommend if you have an assignment months in advance or weeks in advance and you think you're going to need help with it, book time at the writing center closer to that, or don't procrastinate and do it really early, because writing centers can get busy. So I always say plan yourself out and make sure you have the time to go there for the help that you need.
Absolutely. It's so important. And the writing centers do get very busy. Thankfully, most of them now have a drop-in so that if you can't get a one-on-one appointment, you can at least go and get some help. Like you said, attempting not to procrastinate, you know, like it's hard. And like, I'll admit that I procrastinate and work to deadlines as well. So it's fine. And also recognizing that students all find their own rhythms, and what works for one student might not work for another student. So I also think it's important to trust yourselves and discover what works for you. And you also made the point about scheduling time for your own enjoyment. Yes. Whether that's extracurricular or joining groups or exercising, whatever it is, a gardening club, those, I mean, I put them as equal importance to your classes, because you're going to do so much better in your academic work if you are fulfilling those parts of your personal life that bring you joy. And hopefully your academic work brings you joy as well.
Definitely. Yeah. I think it's so important to remember that we're all humans first who are also students. And I think making time for personal life is so important. And on the note of extracurriculars, would you encourage students to join them? I believe so. If so, do you have any that you would recommend, whether that be like book and media study related or anything interesting that you know of that goes around on campus?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much that happens on campus. Essentially, any interest that you have, you can go find students, you know. So I think part of being a first year student is not being afraid to join a group, even if you don't know anyone that's in it. I think I'm noticing that my glasses are crooked because I stepped on them yesterday. So I don't always have crooked glasses, students, but that's fine. You're fine. We're human. Anyway.
Exactly.
But yes, so I mean, like, I really think maybe it's something that you really love to do. Let's say you're going into the sciences, but you love music. Okay. So I absolutely recommend joining a group that lets you pursue that musical creativity, or if it's the other way around, right? Like if you're going into the humanities, but in high school, you still love the sciences, find a group that fulfills that. It's really important to be balanced. I also think it's really a great opportunity to try something brand new. Like find a group, maybe it's the a cappella group because you always wanted to sing but didn't, or because you've seen these ridiculous movies about universities and a cappella groups, right? Like whatever it is, just I think trying it. And also, like I use the metaphor of like you're trying on clothes, right? Like maybe you thought it was great and you try the shirt on and it does not fit, it's not working, you don't have to stick with it, right? No. And you can use that for classes too. Like if class isn't fitting, try another shirt, you know, try another class. It's really important that students study and participate in things that they care about and are passionate about.
And it's really, we're lucky at U of T that so many clubs and organizations have events that welcome all students. So you don't necessarily need to join the club per se, but you can go and see how it is, what it's about. And then if it's right for you, then you can join. And if it's not, you know, you can keep going to more events. And the same with classes too. We have drop dates and things that students can look into, and those are important to remember. But it's also okay to drop a course midway, I say, and then make it up in the summer. I always think people stress about getting the 5 credits done per year and do 5 courses per semester. But in my first year, I took 4 courses in first semester and then made up 1 in the summer because it's just an adjustment time, getting used to it. Because academically it can be a lot of work, but that's okay to, you know, try things out, like you said.
Yeah, it's so important. And I would extend that to majors. Like a lot of first year students are under a lot of pressure, either because they think they know exactly what they're going to do, like, bang, I will be a doctor and this is the path, right? Or they have no idea what they want to do. And both can be equally stressful. And it can also be very stressful when students start to discover that while they thought they knew what they wanted to do, they start discovering other passions and other disciplines that they want to study. I really recommend allowing oneself to enjoy the process of discovering and changing one's mind about, you know, this is important. It's really important that students study something that they are passionate about themselves. And I recognize there can be family pressures to go into a certain discipline, and that's real. I suggest students talk to counselors, their profs, people about it if you're confused about what you want to major in, because I mean, this is what you're doing. It's exciting. It is going to be stressful. It's a lot of work, but the enjoyment is supposed to balance that out, you know?
That is 100% me. I started in the life sciences actually in my first year, and I took a geography course as an elective and absolutely fell in love with the world of urban planning. And I had no idea of it beforehand, and now I am in love with what I'm studying. I'm so happy coming to school because I am a commuter student, so it makes it the commute so much better to come to class when I'm enjoying what I'm studying. And it gives you so much more comfort and happiness, and you can get more involved and do different things and stuff like that. So I think changing programs, even like the science to art switch, can have a lot of pressure on it itself. But I think doing what you're passionate about just makes things so much easier, and you'll be so much happier.
I also did that switch. When I started out undergrad, I was a chem major, and I loved chemistry. Like, I really did. And I still love it. I mean, I think it's wonderful. Mm-hmm. But then I just took a course on Dante, and that was it. It was done. And I went into comparative literature, and here I am. Wow. I don't even, oh my gosh, it's getting to the point where it's 20 years later, and how does that happen? But yeah, it's so important, and it's hard. Like, I recognize it's a hard switch, but I think it's so worth it.
It can be, yeah. But I was a part of the Jilson seminar in my first year, which I can't emphasize the importance and greatness of enough. I think everyone should apply for it. Any of the ONES programs, I think it was a great program. That course gave me an introduction into the humanities field and more of that writing, the structure of having an essay-based course. And that was where I really found what I wanted to do. Yeah. So St. Mike's programs are they're great. Yeah. I hope I can take more in my last year.
Yes. Take more.
Yes. All right. So the next question is, what challenges do you think students might face specifically in humanities or the book and media program, and what solutions could you advise to this?
Okay. One I already mentioned, but I'll mention it again just because it's very real, which is learning to write academic essays. Like, in the humanities and book and media studies, I have a lot of third-year students that still really struggle with the idea of integrating citations and scholarly sources, and what does that even mean? And so it's a real challenge, and it's integral to the program and to learning. So part of that is just going to the writing center, getting all the support that you can, going to office hours, bringing your essay, doing all of that work. Reading your assignments. It is a challenge. You have a lot to read, right? And part of university is learning the art of critical skimming and learning what can let go and not. Like, your profs know, hopefully they know that you can't read everything. But one thing I think students don't realize is that part of the reason we assign so much reading is that through reading academic articles, you are actually learning how to write. It's part of learning it, right? So you're seeing how we weave in other scholars, and this is what we're hoping to teach you to do, because it's part of critical thinking, right? It goes so far beyond writing an essay.
Definitely. Yeah, I know it sounds silly, but our other humanities video is with J.O., and he's like, you need to learn how to read and write. Like, it might sound silly, but it definitely is. Like you said, university style essays aren't the same as high school style essays, and there is a learning curve to it, and reading helps so much. And you may not know that you're learning. Does that make sense? By reading. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We often don't. So, and I think another challenge that students have is balancing the use of social media and their devices while they're learning. I think this is important, especially as we are going to have online learning and remote learning for the next little while. It's really, like, I can't tell you how many times I have heard that I am more efficient when I'm multitasking, right? And like, that I can buy shoes while my professor is talking to me about something in class, right? And I get that it happens, and it's part of our society. Like, this is part of what we study in book and media studies. But the reality is that this is a lie we tell ourselves. Like, we are not more efficient. Research after research is showing this, right? So I think a habit that students can start from day one is, like, I am not going to go on Instagram while I'm doing this assignment or while I'm reading this. And actually, if we can teach ourselves these habits, they will help us so much in being productive.
Yeah,
But
it's so true. It is, yeah. But I think you just need to put your phone away. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just put it away. And I find that even if you are stuck on an assignment or something like that, going on social media isn't the solution. Going back to your phone isn't it. I find doing something else, taking your mind off something, exercising, whatever, cooking, and then you get those light bulb moments, and those are the ones that help you with your assignments rather than distracting yourself, taking a break on your phone. I think putting your phone away is such a tool that people need to learn. And I'm still struggling with it, but once you get the hang of it and see the results that it pays off, it's great. Yeah.
I would also pick up what you just said. Getting into the body when we are stressed, and especially like, I can't work out this essay or this thesis statement. We're probably thinking too much, right? So like, I am such a supporter of the solo dance party in one's room. Like, put your favorite music on, look ridiculous, get out of your head. Like you said, cook or go for a jog if you jog, or a yoga class, whatever it is that folks do. Oftentimes getting out of our head is when the moment will come and we'll kind of integrate. Like for me, it's when I'm walking my dog. Like I'll be working for hours on an article. He'll be whining. I'll be like, no, I have to finish this. And then finally we go for the walk. And then 20 minutes into the walk, I'm like, oh,
go back.
Yeah. You know, like it's how we work. So it's important. So important.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So I know we touched on it a bit earlier, but if you just want to explain a little bit more what office hours are, and I know we talked about how students might be intimidated by them, but from a professor's point of view, how do you think students should overcome that?
So first, what office hours are for students. So office hours are an opportunity for students to come and have a one-on-one conversation with their prof so that they can get clarification, whether it's about a reading or an idea or an assignment, okay? Or if you just have questions you want to ask, right? Like we said, your profs are there, they're dedicated to these ideas. You can go talk about them in more detail than you can get in the class often, okay? So I think part of the intimidation around office hours is in our Western culture, we kind of have this idea that professors are up here, that they're these like untouchable minds, and like, we're people, okay? Even if your professor is kind of embodying that, like they've been taught that, okay? I'm sorry, but your profs are people. They love what most of us really love. Like we're dorks. We love what we do. We've loved it for a long time. So we love to talk about it. Okay. So I think remembering that your profs are people is the most important thing. There is also an intimidation because we are the person that gives you a grade. Okay. And I understand that, and it's very real. And I believe, as a lot of, especially at St. Mike's professors do, that we put as a culture way too much emphasis on marks. And we're often teaching, students are taught to learn for a mark rather than education as a process of fulfillment and self, it's so much more than a mark. So I think separating your mark from the professor and just being able to have a conversation is really important and will help you maybe get through the door, and also just to know that you're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to not know, like it's new. So how are you supposed to know? You have to ask questions. You cannot learn without it. And emailing your prof to ask, like, let's say your prof has said you can come to office hours on Tuesdays from 2 to 4. But if you're feeling a little anxious, just get a little extra support. Send an email, make up a question if you don't even know, like, oh, where's your office, or something like that. Maybe just having that dialogue could help a little bit.
Perfect. That's really good tips. Yeah. So is there any one big tip of success you would give to first-year students or students in general? This may not be even academic related, or like depending on what pathway to take to grad school or the workforce, just a tip for general success in life.
General success.
Yes. Just general success.
Yes, I can think of that. So, yeah, I think as you said, they're probably not academic related, but they will impact your academics. And really, we've touched on them. Like, I think it is to find something that you're really interested in and allow yourself to enjoy it. Not because it's going to make you a lot of money, not because your parents are going to be happy about it. I mean, those are important aspects, but we're talking about 5 years of study that is supposed to be propelling you into the rest of your life, right? So it's so important to just allow one to follow a path that's unfolding as one's in the moment of it. I think we can often get way too focused on where we're going to be 20 years from now. Like, you're 18 years old. Okay. Just allow yourself to be 18 years old and discover things. I also think supporting and taking care of mental health is really, really important. So that looks like something different for almost everyone, right? Like, for someone, it might be going out to a club and dancing on Friday night. For someone else, it might be going to therapy. For someone else, it might be just sitting with friends, right? So finding the things that help you relax, help you integrate, we need them. Mental health is really, really important for students and for everyone. So those are important. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so important that we emphasize that these tips aren't specifically academic, because academic is such an interdisciplinary thing where it takes all of you and growth of the whole person rather than just the brain and the academic learning. But so much, like we've touched on, extracurriculars, everything helps your academics. And I think having a whole full experience at university is such an important thing.
I absolutely agree. And understanding that that's what it means to be a student. Like, all of that coming together. And more in classroom pedagogy is starting to focus on the fact that holistic education is the most successful and it's what we need. I mean, just look around what's happening in the world all over the place. We need folks that are integrated and happy, right? And happy from a place that's also related to social responsibility. So how do we do that? We have to do that on our own if we're going to do that in the work field. Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think we've touched on lots here today. So we're going to end this online academic orientation, and we wish you all the best with your first year at St. Mike's and the University of Toronto.
Yes. Good luck, good luck, good luck. And also I should say, if you feel intimidated by going to your prof's office hours, you can practice and come to my office hours or send me an email. I am so happy for first-year students to contact me with questions. Like, I'm part of St. Mike's, I'm here. So, and I like to think I'm pretty approachable. So don't worry about it. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much.